My wife lied about being RPED. Any advice on how to move past this? We've been together for 8 years, married for 5 years, and we have a 2-year-old. A few months ago, my wife expressed her interest in other women and asked me whether or not she could explore that part of herself. I'll be honest, the thought of her being with another woman is a real turn-on for me, so I agreed. She did let me know that I shouldn't get my hopes up for a threesome since that's never gonna happen. And I understand that. I wouldn't want her to have sex with another guy. She doesn't want me having sex with another woman. We set those clear boundaries. I did hint at the fact that, if she's ever with a woman who doesn't mind their session being recorded, then I'd love to watch it with her afterwards. She liked that idea too, so off she went looking for someone for her first girl-on-girl experience. It didn't take long for her to find someone who only lived 20 minutes away. This woman, however, is in an open relationship with her boyfriend. So, before my wife went on a lunch date with her, I reminded her that I'd really not be okay with the boyfriend being around when they're experimenting together. My wife told me not to worry, and I trusted her. After 8 years, she never gave me a reason not to trust her. We bought a house this year, our careers are going well, we have a beautiful 2-year-old, she wouldn't jeopardize that. Or so I thought. Now, the other woman and her boyfriend have a weekly date night. During date night, the boyfriend goes off to be with his other girlfriend, so his girlfriend and my wife have their house to themselves. A few weeks go by, and my wife always come home in a great mood. She's having a fantastic time with this other woman, and I'm glad for her. Then one week, she wasn't feeling well and skipped date night. The week after, when I got home, she told me that her and the other woman were through. That came as a surprise. She was having such a great time, so I asked her if she was okay. Then she started crying, but before telling me anything she made me promise not to do anything. That was kind of vague, and all I could think of was how this other woman probably dumped her and she was feeling used. But it's not like I'd go hunt someone down for this. So, I promised. So, we sat down, and she said that while she and the other woman were having sex, the boyfriend suddenly came home and they made her blow his Johnson while he fingered her. Now, I've read so many stories of sexual assaults where the victim dissects every little thing that led up to the RP, blaming themselves for making the wrong decision at every step of the way. So, I did my best to not ask questions like why didn't you get dressed and leave when you heard him come home, and instead just consoled her, while at the same time getting overwhelmed by the fact that my wife got RPED 2 weeks ago and she spent all that time going through this alone. I asked her why she waited so long to tell me, and apparently, they have a recording of her blowing his Johnson and him fingering her. The night before, they apparently sent her this video along with a message like if you don't come back, we'll send this video to your husband. My wife never told them her last name and they don't know our address, so it'd be nearly impossible for them to find me, but that wasn't what my wife was afraid of. A few months before all this, I lost my phone along with all my photos, videos I made of our daughter. I decided not to risk that happening again, so I installed a home server that automatically and immediately backs up any photo, video we take with our phones. It only does this for photos, videos we take ourselves, not any media we might have downloaded or received. But my wife didn't know that. She thought I was going to see that video someday while going through the family pics. That's why she told me. She never would have told me otherwise, because she thought I'd be angry. That really hurt. Why would I be angry at you for getting RPED? This is not your fault. It didn't really make sense to me. My wife knows me. I'm extremely hard to anger. I never even raised my voice to her. She knows I wouldn't get angry at her for something like this. But then again, I also know that RPE victims rarely think clearly, so I guess I could understand her being afraid of that. The thought that it may not have been RP did cross my mind. But you have to support someone in these situations, right? You don't blame them for what happened or insinuate that they're making it all up. So I told her, as delicately as possible, that if what had happened wasn't as forced as she remembers, that I could understand that. If you're in the middle of having sex with a woman and a dick pops up, then in that moment of extreme horniness, I could understand how someone might slip up in that situation. I wouldn't be happy about it, but I could learn to process that and eventually live with it. Going forward, we'd know to avoid couples and only let her explore with single women if I'd ever be comfortable with that again. But no, she was adamant that it definitely wasn't voluntary. The realization that my wife got RPED by these people and then blackmailed started to dawn on me more and more. I started seeing red. I never get angry. But then again, my loved ones had never been RPED before. I asked for their full names, but she wouldn't give them to me. I asked for their address. Why the EFF did I let her go to a stranger's house without knowing the address? I wouldn't know where to start looking if she went missing. But she wouldn't give me that either. I asked for her phone, but she deleted everything. Dating accounts, messages, photos, videos. I thought I was being smart by looking through her GPS history to get the address that way, but she cleared that as well. I could understand all of that. If you were RPED, the last thing you'd want is keep reminders of that around. and she reminded me I wouldn't do anything myself. So, let's go to the police. You were RPD then blackmailed. Let's report this. Even without evidence, there'd at least be a paper trail in case a next victim suffers at their hands. No, she didn't want to involve the police because nothing ever comes from that and she doesn't want to relive the experience over and over. Okay, I guess I understand that too. So, let's get a reference for a psychologist. You need to talk to a professional about this to process what happened. No, she was fine. What? The fact that you're feeling fine after being RPD is in itself reason enough to warrant therapy. No, she had some bad experiences with therapy before, so she didn't want to talk to anyone, she'd just get over it. And to be fair, I couldn't tell that something was up with my wife at all these past 2 weeks, so I left it there. That night, my wife went to sleep, but I couldn't. My wife got RPD, I can't do anything about it myself. I can't go to the police. I can't take her to therapy. I have to act like this never happened. How could I live with that? These people are walking around without a care in the world after effing RPING my wife. So, I started Googling. I literally spent all night, 8 hours, searching every social media platform, articles online, etc. I only knew a few details. First name, age, town, she's a mom as well, 2 kids, and industry. It's amazing what you can find these days. So, I found the woman's full name, her place of work. Then I found the boyfriend, and his place of work. I told my wife the next morning. Either I'd have to pay these people a visit myself, or she'd have to let me talk to a professional about this myself, because there's no way on earth that I'd be able to live with this without some serious help. My wife was RPD, I failed as a husband. That fact only shows she need therapy, but she didn't make me feel like a PUSSY, but then she'd have to walk me through everything that happened just once, because there were still gaps in my mind. How did this mother go from we're having a great time together to me and my boyfriend are going to RPU? How did the situation go from I was having sex to I was being RPED? She said she'd tell me when the little one was down for her nap. I think she needed some time to gather her nerves, because when our daughter was finally asleep, she started crying again and told me that it indeed may not have been as forceful as she made it out to be. She cheated on me. But with everything I went through the night before, all I could feel was relief. My wife wasn't RPED, thank God. She's punching herself over the head for making me believe she was RPED when I gave her such a clear out to come clean. I was serious when I told her I'd understand how a mistake like that could happen in a situation like that. Now that she finally told me, I'm conflicted. On one hand, yes, I'm so glad that she didn't get RPED, but that relief is making it very difficult for me to process the fact that my wife did cheat on me. And it's not just that she sucked his dick. That threesome we were never going to have been apparently perfectly okay to give to some random guy. She and the other woman apparently recorded all their sessions for them to watch afterwards, but my wife never took a video home for us to watch together, even though I said how much I'd be into that. NL play was never an option between us, but apparently the other woman had plugs that made a regular appearance. And while my wife was out having fun, our SX life took a hit. In the 6 to 7 weeks she was dating, we had SX once. I didn't mind too much, I was glad my wife was having fun and I figured it'd return to normal after a while. I'm just so jealous at this point. And angry, but mainly relieved. And that's effed up. Divorce isn't in my head yet. We both couldn't afford a new home separately, and we want our kid to have her own room, and for her parents to still be together. I still love my wife, but every quiet moment my mind is racing. Did she do more than just blow his Johnson? If they did have SX, they probably recorded that too, and then why not send that much more incriminating video to my wife to blackmail her? So maybe they didn't EFF. But then again, I'm a guy. If a woman blow my Johnson and made it wet, and I fingered her to make her wet, what's logical step number 3? She promises nothing else happened, and I want to believe her, but my mind won't let me. Should I ask for their contact details to get their side of the story? Because why would any guy have his Johnson blown and then be like, you know what, that was fun, I'll sit back and watch now. Am I just being crazy? Does that happen? But then I'm also so relieved she didn't get RPED. Help. TLDR, my wife lied about being RPED but instead she cheated on me. The feeling of relief is more powerful than feelings of anger, betrayal. How can I get past this? Reader comment, you've been manipulated every step of the way here. Unbelievable, no one should stand for that. Original poster, right. Who feels relief after being told they're cheated on? Reader comment, yay man, if this story is real. You gave your wife ample freedom to experiment and did whatever the EFF she wanted really. And she still found a way to EFF you over and lie about being RPED. Why did she even tell you about the guy anyway? That doesn't even make sense, you would have never even known. Original poster, she thought I'd find out about it while looking through our home server, where I back up all our phone's photos and videos automatically. She had no idea if that video had been uploaded or not and decided to get ahead of it. Update, turns out everyone in that post was right, I'm an idiot, a moron. Still can't believe I didn't see what every single one of you could, apparently. While my wife was watching, I made an account on the dating site she used to find women, to send a message to the other woman. Suddenly, she had to excuse herself and go to the bathroom. I may be stupid, but not that stupid. I looked up her account and lo and behold, she's on the list of recently active profiles. I tell her to cut the BS, why the EFF did she quickly log in? She tried to gaslight me again, saying I'm being crazy, but I showed her the active profiles page and she came clean. She told me it was to remove a part of her profile that said she was looking for a woman to join her and her husband. She said I might think that she was hooking up with a guy and looking for a third woman. That didn't even cross my mind. I would have genuinely thought she maybe wanted a threesome with me. No, of course not. Not with me. So, I finally sent the other woman a message on that dating site, and she responded the next day. She had no idea what I was talking about. Yes, they did meet up for lunch months ago, but they decided to leave it there. I did not expect that response at all. I would have maybe thought that she would say that nothing happened, maybe to protect my wife. Or maybe she would have said that all sorts of stuff happened to back at her. But this made no sense whatsoever unless my wife really never was together with this woman. I told my wife to effing come clean right now, and then the full truth finally trickled all the way down. There was no blackmail, there wasn't even another woman. My wife was apparently meeting up with some married guy, whose wife also has no idea. They were indeed also in the process of looking to add another woman to their adventures. That's why he sent her that video, so she could send it to some other woman to invite them into their bed. They were going to pretend to be married, because that makes it easy to explain away their wedding rings. All those sexual fantasies she didn't even want to tell me about were perfectly fine to explore with this other guy. I tried to slip a finger in her once and I got the nah exit only, but together they bought a bunch of plugs for them to play with. She never even mentioned to me that she might like the idea of recording our bed sessions, but had the time of her life rewatching everything she did with this guy. I've never felt so betrayed in my life. They effed in his house with his kids asleep while his wife was out working. Never knew my wife could sink so low. I mean, the lying about our PED thing should have been a hint. It's like I don't even know her anymore. I know the guy's full name, visited his LinkedIn profile to make sure he knows I know. Maybe it'll push him to stop cheating on his wife. Maybe I'll send her a message myself. Haven't decided that yet. My wife says I should be angry at her, not him. She's effing defending him, Jesus Christ. Kicking myself over the head for letting her explore her bi. She says she didn't set out to find guys, it just happened. F that. Breaking up will be tricky though. We got a good deal on our house that we bought earlier this year, but with house prices going down 6% this year, we'd be in the red. On top of the loan we got to fix some parts of the house. I'd have to work less, which I can't afford, but I can't afford the extra daycare either. Neither can my wife. We're strapped for cash, and she was taking weekly 1.5 hour drives and paying for expensive subscriptions to cheating websites. For F's sake. If we had to look for apartments now, we'd both be paying the same in rent for 2 small 1-bedroom condos. My kid finally has her own bedroom and a dedicated playroom she gets lost in for hours. We have a big yard for her to run around in and plenty of indoor space for her to be driven around in her little electric car, which she loves. I'm stuck and trying not to make any rash decisions that'll make this all come crumbling down. Yes, my wife already took a swing with a sledgehammer, but still, I love that little girl more than I hate my wife right now. And yes, she says she's sorry and how she wishes she could turn back time for this all to never happen. She'll let me install a key listener on her phone, tracking apps, whatever I need to rebuild trust, but none of that SHT would actually do anything. If she really wanted to, she could find other ways to EFF guys. It takes trust to assume that she won't. That trust is just gone now. If she cheated once, it might have been easier. No, 7 effing times, every time with a week apart to contemplate her actions and SHT all over our marriage anyway, again and again. Anyway, I'm sad to say we're still together for now. I guess we'll have to find out which comes sooner, my rebuilt trust in my wife or our final loan payment and a house in the black. Maybe I have extreme abandonment issues after my dad suddenly passed away 8 years ago that makes me the spineless coward of a doormat that's typing this all out now. Yes, I've already signed up for therapy myself. I don't know how I'll ever trust anyone again. TLDR, turns out it was just another girl finds boy cheating story. Edit, his wife finally saw my messages. Told her that if she ever has any doubts about what happened to ask me any questions she wants. I could make my wife describe their bedroom in detail, point out where their kids go to bed, etc. Haven't heard back from her yet, so I think she believes it. The thought did cross my mind that this could have been the a-hole that was texting me from her account to make me drop it, but I saw a recent visit of my LinkedIn profile of some girl who turns out to be a close friend of the wife. She must have told her about it already. Reader comment, you need to tell his wife. Your wife is disgusting. Effing him in his home with his children there. Worse than dirt. I will refrain from name calling, but I wouldn't be able to even look at her without disgust. You want to reconcile with that? I don't understand. Original poster, I don't understand either. I've got therapy coming. Maybe it'll enlighten some things for me that I'm not aware of. Reader comment, blow this guy's life up. Tell his wife. When I first read your story, I knew it didn't sound right. She has been outright lying to you, exposing you to who knows what. And all that time only being with you once. She's an awful liar and cheater. Who cares if she wishes to protect this guy now? Your marriage has imploded, do the same to him. I'm usually not about revenge like this, but why should he get to go on as normal? And your wife, I understand there are financial reasons to not move so rashly, but dude, start saving money to make your escape. She's not even remorseful. She is only upset she was caught. She would have been happily fulfilling all your fantasies with this guy while you were left at home with your child. You'll never move past this because I doubt she'll actually be willing to do any work to make amends. Original poster, I told his wife just now through a Facebook message. It's 2 a.m. so she'll probably not read it for a couple of hours. F that guy. Reader comment, don't tell your wife that you informed the AP's wife. Your wife might inform him and intercept that FB messages and delete them. Original poster, I did tell my wife, but I notified her on LinkedIn too. I'll keep notifying her daily at random times until she finds out. He can't keep intercepting them forever. Update, is reconciliation even possible for us? I posted about my wife's affair and literally everyone seems to say that divorce is the only way forward for me. For one, she really does seem remorseful. She said she'll do whatever it takes and whatever I need for this to work out. I see, MC, open access to her phone, tracking her location, you name it. At this point I don't yet know what I need her to do for me, but it's nice to know that all options are on the table. Before we got married, I slipped up sexting some girl I talked to before meeting my wife. I regretted it almost instantly, like half an hour into sexting with this girl, then removed everything and blocked her, after which she contacted my girlfriend. Turns out women don't like to be ghosted. Anyway, back then she gave me a second chance, and the fear I felt after her finding out was enough for me to never do it again. I did not want to lose her. Her affair was also her first mistake. I really do believe that. And so, I feel like I owe her a second chance as well. She said she's terrified of losing me and what we have together. The stakes now are 10x higher than before we got married too. We had a daughter since then and bought a house. So, she's probably even more scared than I was back then. And if that was enough of a wake-up call for me to never do it again, I believe her when she tells me it will never happen again. But the things she did, and the horrible lies she told to cover up the truth. Deep down I guess I understand her lying about it being RIP. She was afraid of losing me and thought it'd be the only way that I would ever stick around. She was RIP'd by her father when she was young. She, of all people, knows how terrible RIP is. Her mom's lack of action back then maybe made her believe that I wouldn't take any action either, that I'd just let it go. I reread some messages she sent me when she was still trickle-truthing me, and when I told her I still felt like things didn't add up, she'd say things like, haha, you can be really crazy sometimes. Every single time I was like, but this and that probably had to have happened too. She'd made me believe I was crazy for even thinking it. I was losing my mind. I'm going into therapy to get my head straightened out again. Or that time I texted her during one of her dates about my daughter's non-stop crying when I was trying to get her to sleep. She asked if she needed to come home early. I thought about it. Decided that she needed her night out and told her to enjoy herself, not knowing she was with a man, after which she put down the phone and kept doing what she was doing. How did something like that not snap her out of it? She said they were already wrapping up at that time. I don't know. It was pretty late already. She did go back the weeks afterwards. Oh, and all those times I tried my best at work to come home early so she could make it on time to her weekly night out and make the most out of it. It's made me feel so incredibly stupid. When she was afraid I'd find the video, she stopped going for 2 weeks already. She said the excitement was gone and that she regretted doing what she did. But had she not told me about the video, she would have gone back for that threesome. How much do you really regret doing what you did if you were planning to go back? She says it's because she'd finally get a chance to be with a woman. I guess I can also sort of believe that. It's why I wanted to let her date other women in the first place, to find out what that's like. There's just so many details like this that make me doubt whether this could ever work again. But as most people here know, you don't just stop loving a person you've been with for 8 years. I might be able to forgive her eventually. But should I? Like, where do you draw the line? That's different for everyone, of course, but would anyone at all, draw that line beyond what my wife has done, as I'm thinking of doing? Reader comment, I don't think you automatically owe her a second chance. It's not like she bought you lunch, so now you're returning the favor. Your mistake is in no way comparable to how she consistently betrayed you. I've read your posts and replies, and I wonder how far and deep you've delved into her thinking before and during the affair. Not the physical details as such, she seems very able to tell you all, but why she was so willing to break so many sexual and relationship boundaries in no more than 7 meetings with her AP. The affair itself is painful, but how are you coping with her ability to seek out, plan and act on it? The physical, sexual acts within affairs are terrible, as they provide torturous details and visuals. However, the mental, rational and emotional choices made in betraying are often worse. If you can begin to understand and forgive her for those choices, then perhaps she can begin to rebuild your trust. It'll be a long and painful road for you both, but I wish you well in whatever you decide. Original poster, she said she initially did set out to find women, and the timelines of her signing up to dating sites add up. The women she talked to all ended up ghosting or rejecting her though. That's when she signed up for an affair dating site, to talk to guys to get the attention she felt she was lacking. Early 2022 she did warn me that if things between us didn't improve, she wouldn't be able to continue our relationship. I needed to do more in the house, needed to help out more with our daughter, needed to show her more affection, and she was right. But I believed I was making real progress in that area for the last half year. She said she only saw progress in the last couple of weeks. I express love by hugging and kissing, and I express my desire for her by grabbing her when she walks by, initiating sex. But apparently me never really saying I think you're beautiful made her feel unloved and unwanted. This is my first relationship. I wish she just told me what she needed. If I knew she still felt that way about us, I never would have been okay with her dating women. You need to be in a good relationship for that to work, which is what I thought we had. Anyway, when she finally got the attention she was looking for from someone else, she started seeing him, pretending all this time that she was with a woman. And you're right, while the acts of the affair are terrible to think about, it's the details that make it even harder. Continuing what you were doing after I texted you about our crying daughter. How does that not snap you out of it? Her thought process during all of it was that it was exciting. I can understand that too. The first few weeks, months between my wife and I were much more exciting than the rest of our relationship. But isn't that the case for everyone? Those butterflies and adrenaline rushes make room for a deeper love and understanding between two people. I'm just scared that, just like last time, I won't be able to tell when my wife feels like the relationship needs more work. Reader comment, this is the worry. That she was vocal to a certain point then proceeded to plan her affair, no matter the cost. Now she's had a taste of something that destroyed her previously held boundaries, and it's the speed and extent of this that's staggering. Even in the giddy high of a new relationship, how do you suddenly consent or initiate previously taboo sex acts, and that those acts sometimes involved an element of taunting the SOs? This is the issue, that the butterflies don't explain the extreme lengths she went to. That she was even looking to expand the affair with others speaks to someone who was truly lost. Do you feel that you understand how she got there? Never mind forgive, and will she miss that lifestyle? I really do hope you're able to get past this in time, wherever your future lies. Original poster, she might not have to miss out on that lifestyle. In the 8 years we were together, I only tried spicing up things once or twice, and got a rejection. She doesn't really remember rejecting me those times though, so perhaps in that moment her mind quickly went you know, and I didn't press it any further. She told me she believed I wasn't into that type of stuff. I very much am. I may have needed to communicate that better than just trying something in bed once or twice. Now she knows she can ask me to do anything. Want to make a close-up video of me you because watching that turns you on. It's what she did with her AP, and she liked it. I'll do you one better and cast my phone's screen to the TV and point the camera at what I'm looking at, so you can watch what's happening live in the moment. Want to try a play? Spanking, whips, handcuffs, blindfolds, I'm up for all of it. We did have sex already. Kind of ashamed to admit that, but I read that that's also quite normal in these situations, to sort of reclaim your so. It's also the fact that she made the time, every week, to have intercourse with someone, when I sometimes had trouble getting her interested even once a month. We've decided that we'll keep at least one night per week free for each other. We'll block the calendar those evenings. It's what she did for him. It's the least she could do for me too. She does seem excited about it. The prospects of trying new things with me. I just wish we got to explore those things together, so it'd be new for both of us. I guess time will tell if I can really move past everything that happened. Just glad to read a reaction that doesn't immediately scream divorce her you idiot. I already felt like I was going crazy with all the lies my wife told me, and I was afraid I really was crazy for giving this a second chance. Reader comment, there are liars and cheaters, and then there are people who use something as traumatic as RP to cover up their cheating. And the latter is infinitely worse than the former. So take off your rose-colored glasses and see your wife for who she really is, and only then could you get over it and move on with or without her. Original poster, I know, it's an absolutely awful thing to lie about. Boo. I think I kind of understand why she did it. Like, had I not reacted the way I did and just let it go, I wouldn't have found out about her cheating, and she wouldn't have had to worry about me leaving her. It's the only lie she could have told me that, if I had let it go, would remove any risk of me leaving her. This is also quite a unique situation, about the only situation where that excuse would make sense. Maybe if these situations happened more often, we'd hear more about people trying to lie their way out of it like this. So, I understand why she tried lying about it this way. I think a lot of people would say anything if it meant not risking their partners leaving them. She also understands how awful that lie was, and she's very remorseful for the fact that it sent me spiraling downwards. I still don't know what hurt more, thinking my wife was a PED or the affair. Now I got both experiences. She cries whenever I bring up how much those lies hurt, and she keeps telling me how she wishes she could take it all back. She can't take it back, of course, but she's very apologetic, and hurting my really seems to have hurt her too.